Okay, SAT crew, I picked up my three favorite questions from the ones you submitted. One gave you a list of numbers, A and B, and they asked you, are is the mean the same or different? And is the deviation same or different? And it gave you four multiple choices like, you know, A, the mean is the same, the deviation is the same. B, the mean is different, the deviation is different. C, the mean is the same, the deviation is different, so on and so forth. So basically, if we look at A, answer choices A, B, C, D, right? And they have same, different, different, and they're talking about mean and standard deviation. Same, different, and different, same. Right? Those are your four answer choices. And they're saying the same for mean and different or same for deviation. So first you look at finding the mean or the average of your list. And that's going to help you eliminate two answer choices. And if you see, if we add up 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, we get 21 divided by how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 of them. We get an average of 3.5. Same thing for 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 4, 5. We add that up, we get 21 divided by 6. So we know our average is the same. Our mean is the same. So already we're down to 50-50. That's a great shot, SAT. Now, standard deviation is basically taking each of these values, 1 minus the mean, and squaring it. So 1 minus 35, 2 minus 3.5 squared. So basically you're taking each of these numbers to find standard deviation. So you're taking the number, you're subtracting it by your mean, and you're squaring it. And then you're taking all those numbers that we got, all these 6 numbers here, adding them up and dividing by the numbers. The amount of numbers we had was 6. Standard deviation is not something I can explain one time. You understand that you have to go through it a few times, but you can see I'm taking each of these 6 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, subtracting it by the average we got, and squaring it, dividing by the amount of numbers we got, and then you get a result or standard deviation of 5. If we do the same for our list of B numbers, and we take 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 4, and 5, subtract by your mean of the B numbers, which was the same, 3.5, add all those up, you get 0.875 as your standard deviation, which tells us that it's different. So we would have chose answer choice C. But here's some advice I would give you on an SAT standpoint. One, if you're down to 50-50 and you don't know how to do standard deviation, please guess A or C. And then if you want to use some common sense to maybe pick a choice between the two, look at the numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They go in an order. They go in, up by 1, up by 1. And if you look at B, it goes up by 1, 3 to 3 is 0, up by 1, goes up by 0, then goes up by 1. So the change in numbers is not the same. So if one were to guess, you would probably guess that the standard deviation is going to be different. Here's another question that I like that. And then I would call this honestly, I would call this standard deviation like a 1.5 star. And here's why. Just the fact that you could easily find an average and get your answer choices down to 2 answer choices of 50%. I mean that really boosts you up there. If you're not sure about standard deviation, I would even say, keeping this a 1.5 star, just look at the list of numbers and know that, the sequencing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in A, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4 is a little different, so probably your deviation is going to be different. 3 really good SAT questions. Hope this guys, helps just your thought process when answering questions. I didn't want to show the questions because I just wanted to focus on the parts that the question's asking for. Just keep challenging yourself. The practice is the biggest thing, staying consistent and staying with it. So good luck. Thanks for stopping by. It out. They gave you this this table of X and Y coordinates, but all of it had a variable in it. And so just a couple steps here. One where we want to find our slope. This is a good algebra 2 question. Challenging, but very doable. And what I did was I did y2 minus y1. I did negative a minus 0, and I got negative a. And then I did x2 minus x1, 3a minus a, and I got 2a. Now, if I were to reduce that, I would cancel out the a's, and I'm left with negative 1/2. That's my slope. That's my m. I'm well on my way to answering this question. Now, a good way to find a y equals, if we look over here, a y equals mx plus b, in order to come up with one of those, you can use a value for y, which I'll put in here, a value for x, which I'll put in here, and then our slope, which I'll put in. And I could use that to solve for my y-intercept. And so what I did was I did 0 is equal to 1/2 a plus b. And then I want to get b by itself because I want to know what my y-intercept was. So I know this is negative 1/2 a, so I just added 1/2 a to both sides. And I get b is equal to, and you could tell I did this beforehand, and I went back and checked my signs because I didn't get the result at the end, and I noticed that I had kind of made a small error with my signs, so I wanted to go back and check on that. Look here, but notice that the answer they wanted in standard form. So standard form is ax plus by is equal to c. So they have your x and y on the same side. So all I did was, and I'll show this again. I set up my y equals my slope plus my y-intercept. So y is equal to my slope of negative 1/2 x plus, plus, and then we got for our b here, we got 1/2 a. So what I'll do is, to get standard form, is I'll actually multiply everything by 2 by using this denominator, and essentially getting rid of all the fractions. So 2 times y is 2y. These cancel out. I'm just left with a negative x, right? Because I'm canceling out these denominators, plus the 2 and 2, I'm left with a. And then since they want the x and y on the same side, I'm just simply adding x to both sides. And that's how, and I gave you this answer in the beginning over here, that's how they got x plus 2y is equal to a. This is a very good SAT question. If you're a strong math student, this is something you should definitely go for. But there are a couple steps here. These are good ones to practice. Let's go. For this one, I'd say this is a 2.5 star, like out of 3 difficulty. I would like to say 2 star, but there's a few steps here. This is one. If you can't get past finding the slope, maybe you're just guessing C. And again, if you have a certain answer choice you like C or B, you're going to stick to that. On to another. Basically, I broke down this SAT word problem that was sent to me, and it's saying, okay, you pay a $5 per month flat fee for a max of 100 text messages. That's not good. 100 text messages. And in the question they say, and then you're going to pay 25% cents per text over 100. Graph. What is the graph to this? Well, let's just make our own graph instead of looking at the answer choices here. Now, X is going to be our number of texts. Y is going to be our dollar amount. Now, you know that it even says there's a flat fee of $5 per month. So let's just draw a flat line up to where I get 100 text messages. And at that point here, as soon as I go above that, I'm going to get an increase of, let's say, for every 4 text messages. So at 104, after I complete 4 additional text messages, it's going to go from $5 to $6. And at 108, when I do another 4 text messages, it's going to go to $7. So here I am just simulating the scenario and getting a result of this graph. This is a 1-star difficulty. This is one you should definitely be able to put together. So I would say in a form of SAT, this is a 1 star.